your fitness business podcast snapshot, developing a meeting schedule to create momentum in your business. We explore daily, weekly, and monthly meeting structure and inclusions, and tips for launching and maintaining a meeting culture. All of that and more coming up in today's show. You're listening to the industry's leading fitness business podcast for owners and managers. This month's interviews are brought to you by our podcast partner, MyZone, the member engagement tool that is proven to improve your member retention. To find out more, go to myzone.org. Hi everyone, and welcome to our final episode for 2019. I am thrilled to say that we are finishing off the year on an absolute high with this week's very special guest. Verne Harnish is founder of the world-renowned Entrepreneurs Organization with over 14,000 members worldwide. He chaired for 15 years Entrepreneurs Organization Premier CEO program, The Birthing of Giants, held at MIT, a program in which he still teaches today. Verne is the founder and CEO of Scaling Up, a global executive education and coaching company with over 180 partners on 6 continents, and he has spent the past 3 decades helping companies scale up. He's the author of the best-selling Mastering the Rockefeller Habits, which is translated into 9 languages, and along with the editors of Fortune, he authored The Greatest Business Decisions of All Time, for which Jim Collins wrote the foreword. His latest book, Scaling Up, Rockefeller Habits 2.0, has won 8 major international book awards, including the prestigious International Book Award for Best General Business Book. Verne also chairs the annual Scale-Up Summits in collaboration with Bloomberg and serves on several boards, including chair of the Riordan Clinic, co-founder and chair of Geoversity, and board member of the $1 Million Women's Movement. It was an immense honor to have the opportunity to interview Verne. So I want to say a special thank you to our founder, JT from Active Management, for lining up this interview for all of us today. One last thing, Verne has a number of events coming up in 2020, so make sure that you listen in to the end of the interview where he talks briefly about how you can attend, and needless to say, all of the links for those events are in today's show notes at fitnessbusinesspodcast.com. We're about to transition into this week's interview, but first is a message from our friends at MyZone. MyZone is a member engagement tool built by the industry and for the industry to help boost retention. Learn more at myzone.org. Enjoy this week's interview with our special guest, Verne Harnish. Verne, welcome along. We are absolutely thrilled to have you on the show.
Chantel, glad to be on.
We're going to start off with our pre-call Quickfire 5 questions so everyone can get to know you. Tell us, why do you do what you do?
My dad had a very successful business and then he lost it. And I thought, I want to help no other entrepreneur face that.
Great one. And what's one ritual that helps you become better at what you do?
It's my weekly insight, Chantel. I've been writing them for 2 decades. And it's this beautiful 3 hours every week where I get to kind of sit back and watch the YouTube video or read the article or skim the book that somebody sent me the previous week. And so it's allowed me to kind of keep up.
That is a great one. And are there any apps or systems that you use to stay in control of your workload?
Yeah, we actually built it. So we have Scaling Up Scorecard. And so it kind of replaces these Excel spreadsheets that you need just to keep track of kind of your cascading priorities and metrics, mobile ready. So it makes it really easy for us to track that stuff.
Love it. And now you're allowed to nominate your own books in this one. Can you tell us a book, a podcast, or a blog that you would recommend?
Well, I name the top 5 business books every year. So far, my favorite this year has been Ben Horowitz's new book that he's got, What You Do Is Who You Are. Last year was Outrageous Empowerment. My favorite book of all time, at least business book, is The Goal by Eli Goldratt.
Excellent recommendations. Thank you so much. We'll make sure we grab those links and pop them in the show notes. So just give us a really quick overview of what we're going to be focusing on during your main interview.
Well, there's a lot of stuff on how to start up, and I have an MBA, which is on how to supposedly run a large company. But there's not a lot, Chantel, about what it takes to scale. And so in the book, we look at 4 areas: people, strategy, execution, and cash. And it's a 3.5-day course, so we'll just touch on maybe one kind of high point in each of those 4.
Sounds fantastic. Verne, thank you so much. We're going to dive straight into the main interview now. So, Verne, first of all, it's an absolute honor to have you on the show. Thank you so much for taking the time to join us here today. Now, I just want to give you a bit of an overview because in the fitness industry, so many businesses around the world in the fitness industry, they are generally filled with kind of casual or part-time staff. So needless to say, communication is absolutely critical. So can you start off today by sharing with us what your meeting schedule would be to really create momentum within our business?
Well, and what I want to do, Chantel, is we go through those 4. In fact, I just heard from him again this morning, is Tony Hartle. Tony's now has 6 gyms. He's going to be adding 4 more, he said, in the next quarter. And he scaled first in something related to sun tanning salon business.
Oh, yeah.
And he wrote a great book called Selling Sunshine.
What a great title.
No, it is. And anyone who's got kind of this membership-based business to consumer, like gyms, I really recommend you read his book. And he was one of my early students at the MIT program, Burger Giants. He was one of the great practitioners of the Rockefeller habits. And he really applied it very specifically to your industry. And again, he's now, after 10 years of being retired, after selling that chain of fitness, sun tanning salons, he's now in the gym business out of Austin, Texas. And he was really good about the meeting rhythm. I mean, even though you have part-time employees, like Ritz-Carlton has a lot of them as well in the hotel business, anyone that's working that particular shift needs to huddle up for a few minutes, and we ask them 3 questions. Is anyone coming into the gym, or do we have any specials, anything we're trying to emphasize today? Are we out of anything? Are we having any issues with any piece of equipment? It's really just making sure, rather than having to send a long email out that nobody's going to read, you've just kind of updated people on what's going on. And the most important, then number 2, you want to look at any metrics. So, hey, how many memberships have we sold? Hey, even something fun like, what kind of achievements did our clients have today? Even if you wanted to track reps and that kind of stuff. And then lastly, probably most importantly, is where's anyone stuck? From, hey, we're running low in supplies on this, to, again, we're having an issue with a piece of equipment that we need to make sure gets repaired. The squeaky wheel gets the grease. And by huddling up just for a few minutes every day, you solve that number 1 issue, which is communication. And even if there's just you and one other person doing that kind of sync up, as I do with my significant other, really kind of keeps our communication on track. So the daily huddle is critical. And then I think weekly, to the extent you've got somewhat of a semi-permanent team, you want to have a little bit longer meeting just to say, and they do it at the Ritz-Carlton, here's kind of our theme for the week. We've got a special running. There's always something that you're thinking around in any of those kind of facilities. And you want to review that and give an opportunity to have a little bit longer conversation about a question people might have, a little bit of training you want to do. Maybe it's in demoing folks on a new approach that we're going to do in terms of training and support. So there's always things to talk about, and it takes longer to set a meeting. So just put the meeting rhythm in place as really a placeholder for people's time.
Yeah, I love that. And especially love that daily huddle idea, because what a great way to just get our team together. And as you've just explained, it doesn't need to be for 30 minutes. It might just be a 10-minute catch up to go through those key metrics and touch base with our team. And Verne, you mentioned that is appropriate, regardless of if you've got team on the ground or if you've got casual part-time staff. Do you have any tips or recommendations for us if I'll use a specific example. In a lot of gyms, we have group fitness instructors who are part of the team, but they might only come into the club once a week or twice a week. do we get them involved in that daily huddle? Do we get them involved in the weekly team meeting? And if so, how do we actually get them involved when they're not always in the facility itself?
Well, one of the most important things in routines is that the owner of the gym, it's important that they put out a weekly message. We really recommend video, 2 minutes, get your phone out and say, hey, here's what's up. Here's what's going on in the gym. We've got somebody new training. We've added a new class. Look, there are updates every single week. And that could go out in an email. It could go out in a voicemail. Again, I think because it's a very visual industry, I would just get the phone out and record a 2-3 minute video. At our CEO bootcamp, we just had a bunch of CEOs there last week. It's one of the things that we have them do, often for the first time when they're at the bootcamp, and they send it back to their team, and they're amazed at the response that people have. They want to know what's going on in your head as an owner. And then the second thing I would do is make sure that it's clear what your email address is, and that you're encouraging folks then to respond back if they've got any questions or thoughts or concerns of stuff that they're running into that maybe is at the back end of that video. Just always a reminder, hey, and if anything's come up and you need to let me know, here's my voicemail or email address, so that you keep those channels of communication open, even if with those very, very part-time employees.
That's a great one. I love that idea of the video. And as you said, like for us, we are a very visual industry, and having that kind of connection either face-to-face or through a video is such a great way to connect with our team members. So Verne, when we think about the 2-minute video, or we think about the daily huddle, or we think about the weekly meeting, and I'm going to come to the monthly shortly, how important is it that we have consistency around the time and the day that those things happen? How important is that for the success of these get-togethers?
Well, it is, because again, it takes longer to set a meeting than it does to meet. A good friend of mine early on worked at Nordstrom's, part-time, but it was clear once a Tuesday every month, and it was at 7:00 in the morning, you were expected, if you work there even like 5 hours, for you to come on in. And it usually revolved around, Chantel, training. And so I think there's important equipment and training and other updates. And you want to create community. And by the way, they want to get together once a month, and they want to, see you as the owner. And so just set it regularly. And you know what? Not everyone's going to make it every month, but if you make it fun and you make it engaging, then folks are going to want to be there because they want to be a part of a community, and they want to learn and see from each other. So if nothing else, if you can't do the daily, weekly, you're going to do that through other kind of communication. Getting the gathering monthly is important.
Excellent. So let's actually talk about that monthly in a little bit more detail. Could you maybe share with us a sample agenda of what we could include in that monthly meeting?
Well, I think it's just as I shared. I mean, I think it's ideal if it can be more informal initially, where, hey, grab a healthy drink together and a snack. Maybe it's, obviously you want to schedule it during a time that's not so busy at the particular club and everybody else's activities. And I would, again, focus it on training and development. Let's watch a video together. Let's review, some kind of a technique. And I think it should be mainly show and tell. So one of the trainers or instructors is going to pick up something cool over the month. And you can come together and say, we're going to let Margaret or Chantel show us this. It's a new technique. Or we're hearing from our folks in the gym all about this new hot trend. Let's discuss that at this monthly so that we're all up to speed and feel like we're in the know. So I would really focus it around training and development, and then any kind of broader decision that you feel like you want their input on making that's going to impact them the next month coming in.
Absolutely. Right up front, Verne, you mentioned that you had worked with Tony Huddle. Have I got his name correct?
Yeah, Tony
himself.
Hartle, Hartl.
Excellent. And he had released the book Selling Sunshine, which I absolutely love that name. So from your work that you've done with him in the past and everything that I guess he learnt from you and around the Rockefeller habits and implemented into his business, what would you say was the most important thing that he took from, the dealings that he had with you and what was it that really made the biggest impact in his business, would you say?
Well, one of the things that we teach, and it's underneath the people piece, and I learned it actually from Regis McKenna, who taught it to Steve Jobs and Intel, Genentech, and taught it to me when I was a student at Wichita State University, scaling up the Entrepreneurs Organization. And that is, you take a piece of paper out and you say, who are the key people in the community, influencers, brands that I can bolt on to my business that then we can leverage in order to scale? So Tony does that. He takes, Chantel, a piece of paper out and he goes, all right, what's the biggest brand in Dallas, Texas, where he had his sun tanning salons that needs a tan? And it's clearly the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. I mean, they're almost the Dallas Cowboys, their team. And so he networks his way and he becomes the official tanning salon of the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. Then he found the best way to promote what he was doing is through radio ads. And so he needed a spokesperson. Well, he could have done the radio ads or he could have hired somebody. But, one of the biggest names in Dallas is Mark Cuban. Mark was one of the judges on the Shark Tank show.
Yeah.
Naomi Simpson and Glenn Richard, who are big fans of our tools, or were there in Australia. I heard that Shark Tank's in the last season or something. But he's this billionaire, owns 155 companies. He owns the local sports teams. And back when Mark was single, Tony networks his way to Mark, and he goes, Mark, guess who I have hanging out at my sun tanning salons? The Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders. Mark said, I'll be right over. And Mark becomes his voice for his radio ads in Dallas, Texas. Now, look, he was a great operator. And again, that's why I encourage everybody to read his book and a lot of hints around, again, these subscription-based businesses, customer service, and why he's scaling his gyms so quickly. It just launched last year and he's already going to have 10 gyms. But you bolt on the Dallas Cowboy cheerleaders brand to your business and Mark Cuban is your radio announcer. Guess what? It's game over. And he crushed all of his competition in Dallas and built the largest regional sun tanning salon business and sold it to the national brand for $1 gazillion. So, you scale through people, you scale through relationships. And if you've got the best branded instructors or people coming by or folks affiliated with your gym and your activities, that's going to help you scale further, faster, and give you more leverage than anything else.
That is such a phenomenal story. Thank you. And I have a feeling that we are going to get a lot of the FBP family running out to buy their copy of Selling Sunshine after hearing that. So, Verne, I just wanted to circle back to when we were talking about meetings, because obviously one of the things that many business owners out there is they think about, or they do these planning meetings. So they might do them quarterly, maybe they do them 6 monthly, maybe they do them once a year. Can you give us an indication of what your recommendation is? And when we're talking about those bigger picture meetings, what should our primary focus be?
Well, I think for most of folks listening to this, you want to get into a good quarterly rhythm. Mm-hmm. And often what you want to do is find, if you don't want to get a coach or any of that kind of stuff to facilitate it, find another friend who's got a related business. Probably, you're not going to do it with a competitor, but somebody else that's a friend of yours that's running kind of maybe a similar business, has got a yoga studio or maybe a direct selling business. And you want to say, hey, let's help each other. And let's go spend 3 hours together on a Wednesday evening, maybe because it's the slowest time, or a Wednesday morning. And what you want to focus on very simply is, what's our theme for the next 3 months? What's the one thing if we could really get this implemented and make it working well, would really move us forward. So even in our own company, we set a theme this quarter of consistency. And we're going through and, with all of our partners, making sure very simple things like on their websites, we've got the right logos and they've got the link backs back to our website, and that our branding consistent and our messaging and our emails. It's just an audit to go through to make sure that everything's a really consistent experience for our customers. We just ran into one with somebody wanting to order books off of our site. A guy named Steve Kerrigan emailed us and said, we've got a hiccup there in terms of what it took to register then to get the books delivered. And so we're on that today, seeing that we can get that fixed. So pick one thing, not 5, not 3, but one thing you feel like you need to do better or start or do more of next. And then focus on that for the next 3 months. And compound interest is then your friend if you can get one big thing done. Maybe it's, hey, I really want to find the right person who's going to be the voice for our radio ads. And that's the thing that you've decided you're going to get done. And then what you want to do is you want to ask everyone that works for the company, even those casual part-timers, their input so they can feel a part of you achieving this one goal for the next 3 months. Now, if you feel like 3 months is too long, then just pick one thing every month. And then it's important to have a friend who's your accountability partner that can kind of hold your feet to the fire. Ultimately, what you want to do coming out of that meeting with your friend, your peer, is decide, all right, what are the 4 or 5 things I need to do more of or less of or different every day that's going to drive to that one thing? And then you check in with each other every day. Now, you're supposed to have a phone call according to Marshall Goldsmith, but I just send an email to my buddy Sebastian Ross and vice versa. And it's amazing when you have an accountability partner, just like having a trainer in the gym, you do a much better workout. You need to have the same trainer or accountability partner for your business.
I love all that advice, Verne. Thank you. And I particularly really love taking it back to what you said at the very beginning, is to create that theme, whether it's a monthly or a quarterly theme, but it just allows us to really zero in and focus on one particular thing to work on. It was a great example that you shared around the consistency that you're working on in your own business. So I wanted to move on, Verne, just to a bit of a quick little Q&A in this one. And it's just some really back to basic stuff for all of the FBP family out there when it comes to our meetings. So very quick questions on each of these ones. When it comes to our agendas, do we write those down before we go into a meeting environment?
You would think you would. Like, we knew clearly in our weekly meeting what we were going to focus on yesterday, our Monday meetings. But many times I don't. In our weekly meeting, we recommend you kind of go around and share good news personally and professionally. And then you look at some of the numbers. And out of that often will come the issue that we want to drill into. So, yeah, is it ideal to know what the topic's going to be ahead of time? But sometimes you don't. The daily obviously has 3 agenda items. And again, that's all detailed in the book.
Excellent. Well, we make sure that we're directing people there. So next question, should we take meeting minutes?
We don't recommend it on the daily, but all you want to have come out of that weekly or monthly is, all right, who said they're going to do what when? And the issue when you're an owner is you have a tendency to take all the monkeys on your own back. And what you want to do is you want to list out, okay, here are the 4 or 5 things we said we got to do this week. Like, I got to fix this order process with our books, but I want to make sure that it's clear who's accountable for that. And in our team, that's a woman named Missy Giltman. So just be clear coming out of the meeting. You don't need meeting minutes. It's who said they're going to do what, when. And the when's got to be, within the next few days or the next few weeks. What you're doing is you're going to take big checks and break them down to bite-sized pieces. And that's all you're going to focus on week after week or month after month.
Great one. Next question. Do we pay people to attend if they're not rostered on?
Yeah, I know. That's a really there are some laws around that, so I'm not actually familiar with what's going on in Australia. My view is if it's for training and development, hey, you're going to come, and it'd be something that you might even be, normally be paying to get some education on. Then I don't think it's really necessary to pay people. They're going to want to be there. And if you're serving some drinks and food, it's really more of a social gathering and a chance for us to maybe share 10 or 15 minutes of formal information. Again, these trainings don't need to be hours long. They can be 10 or 15 minutes. This month, it could be just an hour gathering. But it's really a chance for us to kind of hook up and see each other. And it's the conversation after the meeting that's the most valuable. So, but I'll leave that up to you.
We'll take that. Who do you recommend runs the meeting?
Well, I think it's important that the owner run that, and unless you've got a coach, but I think most cases they're not going to have that unless it's particular training. And then what you want to do is whoever's going to do the training, they're going to be the one that's going to lead that.
Absolutely.
But again, in the business that you're in, I would really focus it around training, sales training. How do you upsell? Fitness training, equipment training, new techniques, bring in vendors who want to give some, training around why their water product's better than somebody else's water product. There is something that you need to be learning and updating yourself every month. And it's in the process of that learning that questions and other topics are going to come up naturally because everyone's together.
You are so right. And we are constantly learning in the fitness industry. So 2 more quick questions, Verne. What if one of our team members are away and they miss a meeting? What do you recommend we do in that situation?
Well, I think on the monthly, even if they're webinars, we do monthly webinars that go out to our coaching partners and the like, we record them. And so obviously somebody can listen to it if they missed it.
Great tip.
Well, we don't on the daily. Again, the daily is really meant to be real time, check in, 5 minutes. It's going to be more the, more semi-permanent team that's there kind of running the place day to day.
Great one. Now, we finish off each of our shows with what we call Fit Bizpiration. So to finish off today, Verne, could you share with us 3 tips for launching and maintaining a meeting culture in our fitness business? We're about to hear those Fit Bizpiration tips from Verne, but first, here's a message from our friends at Loud Rumour.
Advertising is not expensive. Obscurity is. Being unknown in your own community. And for just $99 a month, you can put an end to all of that. Loud Rumour has worked with over 1,500 fitness studios all over the world. And for only $99, we'll teach you step by step how to run ad campaigns like some of the largest fitness franchises on the planet. To learn more and get a bunch of sample training videos, go to loudrumorvt.com. Again, that's loudrumorvt.com.
Now let's go back to our interview with Verne, where he's going to share tips for launching and maintaining a meeting culture in our business.
Well, I think first of all, just start and be consistent. So same time, same place. Number 2, start it at an odd time. So don't start the meeting at 5 o'clock, start it at 5:05. Pick a number that actually has some meaning in the organization. 8s are popular in Asia, so 8:08 in the morning might be fun, particularly if you have that kind of customer base. And then the third, stay on time. If you start on time and make sure you end on time so that people can trust it. If you sit around and wait for people to show up, then that meeting is going to start running longer and longer. So 3 tips.
Great tips. Thank you so much. Now, before I let you go today, I just want to have a quick chat about your events in 2020 because I know that you're in Dallas. I also know that you're coming to Sydney, Australia. So do you want to just give us a quick overview about your Scaling Up events in 2020?
Yeah, well, first, folks can always go to scaleup.com. And right there at the very top, we've got a link for workshops. It's under learning. And we're running all kinds of workshops throughout Australia. It's one of our, and around the world. So you can see our entire list of half-day and full-day workshops, which is often useful for people to go to. But yeah, you're right. February 10th, We're going to be doing a one-day in Sydney Scaling Up Summit, and Naomi Simpson's going to be there with Red Balloon. Glenn Richards, who scaled up a couple of significant companies, both again, Shark Tank judges are going to be there to share kind of their wisdom. I'll be obviously teaching most of the day, these kind of really practical ideas of what it takes to scale up. And then I'm popping over to Melbourne. We actually have got our big intensive 2.5 day that we're doing with YPO and their teams in that beautiful city. So
wow.
Scaling up.
That sounds absolutely amazing. Are there still tickets available for those events?
Yeah, no, we just announced the February 10th.
Awesome.
And that's Anna, our coaching partner there in Sydney. So, and you should be able to Google it and find it.
Well, they don't even need to do that because I am going to make it easy for everyone. I'm going to put the link to your events next year in our show notes over at fitnessbusinesspodcast.com. And Verne, this particular... Oh, say that again.
No, good. Thank you so much.
Yeah, we'll make it nice and easy. And this interview is going live December 18th, 2019. So perfect timing. You guys can jump online, check out the events that Verne is doing in Australia and right across the world. I'm also going to put your book links in our show notes. So Verne Harnish, what an absolute honor to have you on the show. Thank you so much for joining us today.
You bet, Chantel. Thank you so much.
Here's a message from our podcast partner, Precor. Tribe, if you haven't explored a functional training space for your gym, then now is the time. With Queenex Functional Training by Precor, there is a unit to fit every space. Plus, education is included to ensure that training is delivered with confidence. You need to jump online and check this out right now. Go to precor.com/fitness business podcast. During the months of November and December, we've been running a competition to give away 2 pairs of Bose Alto frames. And I am thrilled to announce our winners. Drum roll, please, Harper. Our first winner is Josh Couchy from Arkham Fitness in Victoria. And our second winner is Graham Clark from Westwood Club in Dublin. Congratulations to both of our winners.
Precor Quickfire 5.
Hi FBP family, there's no Precor Quickfire 5 this week because throughout the month of January, we're running a special 4-part series focusing on how to stick to your New Year's business resolutions. We have 4 expert guests focusing on 4 key areas: retention, sales, group fitness, and customer service. So make sure that you tune in from January 8th, which is our first episode back, to hear the New Year's Business Resolution series. And by the way, our first guest is none other than one of our all-time favorite people, Dr. Paul Bedford. I chose this week's Rewind show because after interviewing Verne, it made me think about authors. And when I think about authors, I think about people who love to read. And there is no one I know who loves to read more than our most downloaded guest of all time, Luke Carlson. So if you are one of the very few people in the global fitness industry who is yet to hear why this is our biggest show ever, then wrap your ears around this one. The episode was called Identifying Your Core Purpose Makes Your Fitness Business Unique. It is episode 91. And during that interview, we talked about the importance of having a clear core purpose and core values for your business, why it's so important to understand what truly makes you different, and what it means to promise and deliver 5-star customer service. If you missed that episode, then go along to today's show notes at fitnessbusinesspodcast.com, scroll down and click the link in the timeline for episode 91 featuring Luke Carlson. On Thursday, March the 19th, 2020, you'll have the opportunity to join friends and colleagues at the annual FBP Family Meet Up at URSA 2020. Starting from the lobby of the convention centre at 6:30 a.m, we walk and talk for 60 minutes, sharing experience, ideas and stories. Everyone from the FBP family is invited, and we would love for you to join us on the day. We would also love to know who's coming along, so please jump over to fitnessbusinesspodcast.com, go to the top of the page and click on the tab called Meetup, then register your details for the Ursa Walk. If you need any more information, please email me directly at chantal@fitnessbusinesspodcast.com. Thank you all for joining me for this week's show. A reminder that all the resources and the links for today's episode can all be found at fitnessbusinesspodcast.com. Thank you to our foundation partner, Active Management. Active Management are a fitness business coaching company that help clients all over the world. And this month, I have a business tip for you all. Join the Active Management Facebook community. It's an amazing group, and you'll meet like-minded fitness owners and managers from all over the world. All you need to do is go to facebook.com/groups/Active Management Community. It's a highly engaging community where JT from Active Management shares loads of resources. Things like photos from inside gyms, reasons to exercise, a monthly book club, challenges, and even ideas under $50. It's free and it is an awesome community. Once again, just go to facebook.com/groups/Active Management Community. As I sign off for our final episode for 2019, I want to say a huge thank you to every single one of you who has listened to the show throughout the year. A massive thank you to all of our amazing guests who volunteer their time to share their knowledge and their experience with all of us. Thank you to our foundation partner, Active Management. Thank you to our podcast partners, MyZone, ABC Financial, One Fit Stop, Tribe Team Training, Precor, and Team Rockstar Fit, and to our advertisers, Loud Rumor, MX Metrics, and Gym Sales. Without all of your support, this show would not be possible, so thank you. Last but never least, thank you to our amazing team, JT, Alicia, Mel, Harper, and Diana. All of our team work absolutely tirelessly behind the scenes to make sure that we deliver the show week in, week out. Wishing you all a happy and healthy holiday season. We return from January the 8th, 2020, but until then, what you leave behind is not what's engraved in stone monuments, but what is woven into the lives of others.